Every so often, I browse the internet and stumble upon some questionable parenting, and then the step past that would be totally unacceptable, take their rights away parenting. Well, this is the latter. Before we get into that, let's have a word from the sponsor. Did you guess who it is? That's right, it's me. You're such a good noodle. Feel free to check out my website. I'm an artist that specializes in realistic portraits of people and pop culture characters. It's what I do in my spare time. If you're interested in having me do a custom portrait for you, go ahead and use the contact page. I do include free mystery gifts with every custom order. If your office space looks sad, why not start a personal art collection to cheer it up? Link is in the description. So what I'm about to say, I want you to just think about it for a minute. There are actually people that think that everyone should have kids. Those people are what I like to call wrong. Today we're talking about the story of Kelli Bryant. She has 4 children, but 3 lived with her. I use that term very loosely, and you're about to find out why. The 4th child lives with their father.
Tolerable even for an animal. You better brace yourself. And I'll say that again in case you think I'm exaggerating. Brace yourself. This is a bad one. The pictures deserve a graphic warning. This story came to light at the end of last week in a Detroit suburb of Pontiac, Michigan. Oakland County Sheriff's deputies found 3 children in this house in these conditions. A 15-year-old boy and 2 girls aged 12 and 13. Their mother had left them in that home to fend for themselves almost 5 years ago. They would have been 10, 8, and 7. That fact alone is mind-boggling. They existed on weekly drop-offs of food from Instacart and DoorDash. But towards the end of that 5-year ordeal, the food that was dropped off ended up being a loaf of bread. Obviously, somebody also was paying the rent on that house until they stopped. That happened last October.
Kelli Bryant is 34 years old and has recently made the news after what her landlord discovered. The landlord hadn't received rent since October 2024, so last year. He hadn't talked with Kelli since December of last year. On February 2025, the landlord, along with the sheriff's deputies, arrived at the condominium on Lydia Lane. Upon entry in the house, everyone was in complete shock at what they saw. In the house were 3 children, ages 15, 12, and 13, in deplorable living conditions. Dirty hair and clothes, having trouble walking due to their toenails being so long. These kids had lived neglected, in total squalor for nearly 5 years. The sheriffs realized that the kids had been abandoned by their own mother. They weren't going to school, not socializing with other children or even their own family members, because family members hadn't seen the kids in years.
Soiled mattresses, moldy couches, dozens of pizza boxes, and trash, all being pulled out of this Pontiac home almost a week after 3 children were discovered living here.
The 3 children in this case suffered unimaginable abuse and neglect over a long period of time. Thankfully, they've now been rescued from that, and our first priority has been and will continue to be their safety and well-being. Since the first announcement over the weekend by the sheriff, this case has captured the attention of the people across our community, our county, our state, and even internationally, because people are rightfully concerned about the welfare of these children.
Neighbors reported seeing the children in the windows and didn't think anything of it.
Up until this point, many of us believe that the 3 children living in this home had no contact with anyone except for their mother for nearly 5 years. They did call out to a neighbor. Was it just that one time?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
A father himself, Jamar Johnson, tells me he felt the need to share that he heard the 3 kids abandoned in squalor in this Pontiac home.
Many even said that they would see Kelli outside of her house multiple times, but never going in.
Just, they say, hey, nice car. But, and I might wave back at them, but that's it. There's no way that I could have known that they were in a terrible situation.
There were food containers all over the house. It was so bad it required the evidence technicians to wear hazmat suits.
Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald charged Kelli Bryant with 3 counts of child abuse in the first degree.
Her daughters were hiding in a bathroom that was filled with feces, piles of trash, and completely non-functional, while her son was hiding in another room. Police were astonished to find anyone in the location because it appeared to be uninhabitable, with piles of garbage and refuse several feet high, including large amounts of human excrement.
The prosecutor says Bryant lived at the home with all 4 kids back in 2019, but later moved out, leaving 3 of her children abandoned, while one of the kids went to live with their dad. Detectives say the landlord called police to the home.
Kelli often threatened her children that they should never leave the house, that there'd be consequences. She actually didn't comment on anything as far as if Kelli had any previous charges or complaints or CPS visits. She said that she wasn't allowed to comment on it. Again, these kids were ages 15, 13, and 12, which means at the time that their mother abandoned them, they were around the ages 10, 8, and 7.
With the door and windows now open, you can smell the filth inside this home from the sidewalk.
Prosecutor McDonald,
Yes.
What stands out about this case to you? I mean, it's a pretty significant child abuse case.
That's a difficult question and a really good question. I said yesterday, and I said this to the sheriff personally, we say a lot, this is the worst I've ever seen. And I've stopped saying that because every time I say that, I see something worse. It was unbelievable what they were living with for years. Unbelievable. It wouldn't be surroundings where you would want any living creature living in, creature or animal, or particularly human beings. I mean, these kids not to have even basic hygiene tools. What stands out the most for me is no love. There was nobody there to care for them for between 3 and 4 years. No parents, nobody physically present to let them know that they were safe and they were loved.
Eventually, she was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse. Kelli was arraigned at the end of February, so last month, where Judge Rhonda Folks Gross set a $250 million cash-only bond, which is the highest bond I've ever seen in my entire life. So why did she set such an astronomically high bond? Well, she set this to keep the mom, Kelli, from interfering with what's going on with her kids and the police from jail.
Facts of this case portray her as a potential flight risk, and that there are 3 victims in this case that she should absolutely be prohibited from having contact with. So I'd ask the court add a specific no contact provision as it relates to the 3 minor victims in this case. And if the court would like me to go on, I can.
No. What I found very suspicious in the report for pretrial services, there's 2 different addresses given to her. I do find her an acute risk and danger to the community and to any minor children.
I feel like there's something going on where the mom is in some way still threatening the kids, even though they've been rightfully taken away from her.
With that in mind, I agree with Ms. Karagongo. I cannot deny her bond. That is, of course, my first knee-jerk reaction was to deny her bond.
So in one of the videos, we can hear where the judge says, quote, "Should the court find out that you are sending messages to engage in further fear tactics and intimidation of the children, your phone privileges will be removed," end quote.
Because I find her acute danger. I find her a continued danger to the children. My main concern is, I don't know who, if anyone, that the children have been given to. If it is a family member, I'm concerned that she still may have contact with a family member from the jail with instructions to continue to engage in the fear tactics to forbid the children from cooperating with authorities in their continued investigation in this matter. For that reason alone, I'm giving her a $250 million bond.
The judge did a lot, and she really enforced the fact that Kelli is a danger to children everywhere, and also enforced a no contact rule, stating that she shouldn't ever attempt to contact her children or be around any others at any time. She's proven that she's incapable of being a parent or even a decent human being. Criminal defense attorney William Swore totally disagrees with the high bond, stating that, quote, "There is no evidence she is a risk of flight or a danger to the community. It violates the plain language of the Michigan bond statute," end quote. Okay, well, you know what she's charged with, right? Knowing that, what would you say would make her a danger to the community? There's something worse than this? Is he serious? What ties to the community? She doesn't even want to have ties with her own kids.
Your Honor, you have before you information that the defendant has been lying about the whereabouts regarding what she was telling where the children were. So you have a lot on this record in terms of inconsistencies with her location and the information that she's given to put in place this high cash bond.
All right.
There was no working toilet, feces covered several rooms, 2 children slept on pizza boxes. There was a similar case of Gloria Williams in Harris County, Texas. That one was a bit worse, where a mom in the same way abandoned her kids, but one of them was deceased in the home after being beaten by Gloria's boyfriend. She left her kids for several months while she lived in another house. Gloria was sentenced in 2024 to 50 years with no parole, basically life in prison. Okay, back to Kelli. So there's a lot of people that failed these children, not to mention the 15-year-old boy had left the home just a few times to touch the grass and check the mail. These kids were so terrified to ever leave their house. They were told not to go outside or even answer the door. She sometimes dropped off food or she had it delivered, and my wild guess is those were the times that people saw her outside her own house but never going in. I can't even imagine what it feels like to be those kids, wanting your mom to come back and then realizing that when she does come back, she never steps foot in the house, like she's actively avoiding you.
Wood says that he personally asked Bryant to bring the kids around. The answer was always no, begging the final question, and perhaps the biggest question: why would she do this?
I mean, it's sickening because it was like we wasn't running from the situation. We always asked about them. They doing all right, but it's a lot of scar there. It's a lot of scars.
Not only did their mother fail them, this townhouse had been inspected at least 2 times before they were discovered by the landlord and sheriffs. The first had been a city building inspector that had been there last year. The second was a re-inspection since it had been cited as an unregistered rental. So that second inspection was in 2022 and, quote, registering the rental would have triggered additional reviews of the home to ensure it was habitable for occupants, including a safety inspection. After inquiries from the Free Press, a spokesperson for Mayor Tim Gremel, I'm not sure how you say his name, said the city is investigating whether any current city employees may have been responsible for not following up on this property when it was flagged as an unregistered rental years ago. If so, they would be held accountable, end quote.
We all knew she was a bad parent, but I don't think nobody really realized this was going on.
Kelli Bryant is the former sister-in-law to 34-year-old Kelli Bryant, now facing child abuse charges after investigators say they found 3 of her kids living alone in squalor for several years at this Pontiac townhouse on Lydia Lane. Charlene has not been in contact in years and has loads of questions now.
I just don't know how the family don't know when they were so close. Honestly, I thought the grandmother was taking care of the children.
That's the last you heard?
Yeah, that's the last. You went 4 or 5 years without seeing your grandchildren. There was no questions.
We stopped by the Pontiac home of Bryant's extended family, where the police eventually took the kids. We wanted to talk to the adults. Hi, how are you? Is there anything you'd like to say, sir? No comment given there. We also searched Bryant's Facebook page, which was easy to find and not set to private. Her content shows her modeling various outfits for the camera.
She's gonna claim she couldn't afford to take care of her kids, which you got your hair done, you got your nails done, you got new clothes on all your pictures. Come on now.
What do you think should happen at this point?
She needs to go to prison and never see her kids again. Them kids need to go to someone that's gonna take care of them.
I watched the video of a Facebook live stream where a cleaner who appears to specialize in hoarder cleaning maybe or deep cleaning, she showed the emptied out house and talked about the condition of the house over and over again throughout the live video.
We need that refrigerator and stuff taken out. Turn that gas off. Pull it off, yeah. Pull it out. My people ain't come to play, baby. We on a time frame. Get that shit up out of here. Gotta take it out. We taking the stove out. This kept them kids here for 4 years. And they called the goat to come clean this mother. That bitch ought to be ashamed. It's up, ain't it? My people put that shit out. Get it a little bit.
I find this to be kind of annoying, and the live stream was largely unnecessary because she really didn't say a lot. She rather repeated the same things over and laughing multiple times.
Yes, I am, honey. My TikTok gonna go crazy. Well, you finna be on it. What's your name? So I'm North's Cleaning Services. I had it for like 7 years. Get it in. But you on my live right now. I got my monkey there. They keep saying, watch this, watch this. We throwing this shit away. All that shit gotta get thrown away. I'm finna transform it, but they... Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
But didn't really say much about the well-being of the kids. It was unprofessional. The psychological damage and the trauma they've experienced will be significant. I can't imagine what it feels like. They probably never felt safe because there wasn't an adult around to protect them. These kids have pretty much spent half their lives living in filth with no parenting at all, no structure and stability, no love, not a hug from mom or dad, or a hot meal on the table every night. I just wonder what they did all day because that house is nasty. There couldn't have really been much to do. Plus, they're probably like behind as far as education because they weren't going to school. Kelli Bryant had the audacity to plead not guilty. Now, before you get your pitchforks, at least we know that she's still looking at a life sentence. So that might help you sleep better at night. Anyways, if anything else comes up, I will definitely look into it and I'll do an update to this if there is one. Please feel free to vent about this case in the comments below, or if you relate to it in some way, I'd like to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I do have an Amazon store. If you're an artist like myself, feel free to check that out. So there's a list of items that you can shop from. I've curated it into like a nice, neat little list. And these are all items that I've used in the past and or just items that I currently use. So it's all in one place for you to find. There is also a separate list for studio items, things like cameras, memory cards, lighting, all that kind of stuff. I do make a small commission off of that. It does help support the channel. So if you're interested in restocking stuff or trying something new, the link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Because there can only be one champion, there can never be two.